I made a kind of insane decision last weekend. So a couple weeks ago, I decided to go to Streamer University Auditions in LA. And this was a big decision for me because I live in SF and it costs several hundreds of dollars to even try to go to this thing where I know a lot of people are going and it's very competitive. But I ended up having an actually pretty unique and overall, I think, positive experience there. So I think I have to do a story time of what happened for you guys. A lot happened. There were a lot of happy and sad moments. I honestly think I felt every emotion there is to feel that weekend. So, yeah, I want to try to not leave out any details for you guys. So, make sure you get comfortable, grab a snack, and enjoy this extended story time. So, honestly, I was super on the fence about going because I know that Streamer University is a bit of a pipe dream. It's almost like winning the lottery with how many people apply, and it's really hard to stand out. I know I have grown a lot as a creator within especially the last year. But still, I know it's really hard for anybody to get in, and people with millions of followers apply. People who are super charismatic apply, super talented. And I know that I can grow as a streamer and creator without that boost. And I know there's a lot that comes with going to Streamer University itself. It's hard to get the most out of Streamer University as a smaller creator, and it's honestly pretty stressful and you get a lot of hate. But I was really weighing the pros and cons here, and honestly, it's hard for me to resist a crazy trip like this. So basically, it all started when Kai announced that there were going to be in-person auditions. And at first I brushed it off because I was like, I'm employed. I cannot be doing these type of things. But then Friday afternoon hit and I was like, wait a minute, the LA audition is on Sunday and I live in SF. It's not easy for me to go by any means, but I could hop on a flight last minute from LA to SF to go to this thing. I saw all the clips on TikTok of the New York auditions. I saw Shello and other streamers camping out and streaming in line for the LA auditions, and I felt FOMO. I was like, that looks kind of fun. It looks unhinged, but it looks fun. So I was like, oh my god, do I go or do I not go? And I have like a cat. He's not here right now, but he exists. And I was like, I need to find someone to take care of a cat. I need to rent camping gear if I want to have a chance to get in the line because everyone was camping then. People were already camping like Wednesday, Thursday, I think, and I would be able to get there Saturday morning. So I was like, it's a little bit later, but it's literally the event's like Sunday afternoon and people are just camping like crazy. I think it's okay if I get there Saturday morning, right? That's what I was telling myself. And I ended up finding a friend who was able to cat sit for me and watch Peanut, my cat. I was still on the fence, so I was telling him there's like Streamer University auditions in LA, and he was like, you should totally go. He was like one of the reasons that I decided to go, because he was like, you should totally do it. I'm 100% down for you going. And I was like, yeah, but it's like, it's really an impractical thing to do, you know? There's like so many people who are gonna be going, and also like I might just not be able to get in, and it's just like the final boss of waiting in line. But he told me he told me that if anyone's good at waiting in lines, it's me. And all my friends honestly know this. I used to wait in lines for free stuff all the time. I was like, you know what? You right. That pushed me to get camping gear at Sports Basement. So I rented camping gear. I talked to the Sports Basement guy and he was like, what do you need? And I was like, I need a sleeping pad and a sleeping bag, because that's what ChatGPT told me. And he was like, what are you doing with this? Are you backpacking or what's the other word? Camping. And I was like, I need to sleep on the street for one night. And I think he got concerned. He was concerned for me. He thought I was homeless. But I explained later that I was actually trying to audition for something called Streamer University. And then he was like, oh, okay. So you're just crazy. And then I went to Target. I got a clear bag because Kai, I read his Instagram post. It said only clear bags are allowed. And I bought one of those really cheap clear storage bags and I put my camping gear in there and minimal makeup and skincare, and I was gonna bring that as my carry-on. So unhinged. Looking back, I was like, I shouldn't have done that because literally there was no way they were gonna let me bring such a huge bag in the line. I would not have survived with that thing. But yeah, I did end up using that as my carry-on. which was crazy. Like, I was like literally in survival mode. I was like, these are the bare essentials I need. I'm going with this. But yeah, even after I rented all this stuff, I was not sure whether to go or not. And I went in Badass Kurt's Twitch chat, who was someone I actually met there later. And I saw he was one of the people camping in line. I was trying to ask different streamers in their chat like what the line was like and how camping was. And I typed in his chat that I was debating whether to go or not. And then his chat, like 2 chatters told me to go. And from that, I was like, all right, I'm booking my flight. I booked my flight for 6 a.m. in the morning, Saturday morning, and I ended up hopping on that flight. I have like a little video of me talking to myself in my TikTok drafts. Right before my Uber came out, I was like, I don't know if this is the right decision, but I went anyway because I already booked it. When I got off the plane, I decided the best thing to do was to Uber straight to campus. But then I realized, I bought this whole streamer phone. All right. This is like $1,000 and I ended up keeping it. I'll talk about this later. But I bought this streamer phone so I could stream me going to the audition because I knew the chances of me getting to interview were so slim that I had to like get some content out of it, you know? But I realized that this doesn't work well with my little gimbal I have because it has 2 attachments, but I only brought this MagSafe attachment, which is the one I normally use. But this phone has such weak MagSafe that I had to buy this case, which has the MagSafe ring. So I told my Uber driver to make a detour to Target instead so I could get this case. This case costs like $50, I think. But whatever. A small price to pay compared to all the other transportation I had to pay for. And yeah, it works really well. I also got a box of like 20 Uncrustables at Target, and I was like, I'm just gonna eat this for the rest of the 2 days. Looking back, this was so unhinged. But yeah, I got my Uncrustables. I started streaming in Target, actually. And then I called an Uber from Target to the campus. I got to campus. It was like freaking empty, man. There was no one there. I was kind of scared. And I was streaming, and I recognized a username when I was streaming. Shout out to I Forgot on Twitch. He was one of the people who was chatting in Kurt's chat, the guy I mentioned earlier. And he was one of the people who told me to just book the flight and go. He ended up being actually a very important part of this whole story. So I was just chilling on this campus that seemed super empty, and Forgot, his name was Forgot. Did I mention that? I forgot. But he told me that rumor had it that the gym was going to be where the auditions were. So I was like, oh shit, that's good intel. And I walked around some more and actually found some people sitting at like a little cafeteria outdoor table. And I talked to them. They were really nice. Most of them, I think, were from Sacramento. And most of them streamed on Kick, I think. Some of them were friends with each other. And they were really chill. I'm glad I found some humans there. I think the only people on campus were people who were interested in Streamer University, but I ended up talking to them for a bit. I told them also that there was a rumor that the gym was going to be where the auditions were, but then Forgot told me to gatekeep it, so I was like, oh shit. I told them to gatekeep it too. Another thing that Forgot mentioned was that the line of campers got dissolved by like the security or police. So basically all my camping gear that I brought was not going to be useful, at least that day. And I was like, dang, I kind of prepared for the wrong thing. I got my Uncrustables, I got my camping gear. But also it was kind of a relief because the one thing I was worried about with camping was like, how am I going to use the bathroom? And then I told my friend that I didn't need to camp out anymore. And he was like willing to pick me up. And I was like, yay, a car! I'm being saved, basically. Oh man, the Ubers in LA were so expensive. My friend scooped me up and we got Haiti. And then we went to a Chinese restaurant for lunch, and he ordered way too much food, which he normally does. He's like a big foodie. And then we went to play Smash at one of his friends' places. And then I took a little nap. And then he woke me up and was like, we gotta go to this mahjong event. I won like a game, lost most games, but I won a game. I met some cool people there. Everyone was really nice, but they said I looked tired. I was very tired. I was only on like probably 2-3 hours of sleep, honestly. But I had a plan for the next day. And that was that I had to get to sleep soon after the mahjong event. It was like evening then. I was gonna sleep really early at my friend's place and then basically wake up at like midnight so that I could stake out campus. And I think we left the event at around like 6 or 7. No, 6, 7 joke, please. And then I went to bed. So initially I wanted to wake up at midnight, but then I kept thinking about it and was like, maybe I should go later. At this point, I was like doing the Twitch whispers with Forgot. I was asking him if he had any intel. He thought that they weren't gonna allow a line to form until like 6 a.m. is what some security said. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe I shouldn't go. Basically what I did was I slept super early, but I kept waking up throughout the night to check people's streams. What I would do was go on Twitch and search for like LA Streamer U auditions and see if anyone was lining up. And I think I did this between like 1 to like 3 a.m. and no one seemed to be lining up. Everyone was just like walking around and like socializing because they weren't even letting people in at this point. People were hanging out at the McDonald's across the street from the campus instead and camping there, which at that point I was like, I'm not gonna camp if I can't even be in line, you know? I think in the end I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I still saw that no one that was streaming was in a line of any sort. So I was like, all right, this is a good time to go, right? I ordered an Uber at like 4:30 a.m., got there at like 5 a.m. There was like patrol officers on the edges of campus and everything was very like gated or like guarded with like cones basically. And my Uber driver rolls up to the security guard. The security guard is basically like, not yet. You can't come in yet. But then my Uber driver comes in clutch and says, oh, I think she lives here. And I was like, yes. And then the security guard was like, oh, really? Okay, yeah, then she can go. So I was walking to the dorms. I had to use Google Maps to figure out where the dorms were. Very luckily, the gym was on the way to the dorms. So I was like, okay, great. So if the line is at the gym, or ends up being at the gym, I can stake it out while I'm pretending to walk to the dorms. As I approached the gym, there was another officer who told me like, not yet. And then I was like, oh, I live here. I'm trying to go to the dorms. And he was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I was like, wow, this lie is really working. And then I was like, oh yeah, can I just walk through here if I'm going home? And he was like, yeah. So then I walk basically right behind the gym. And there's a parking lot behind the gym. I don't want to walk too far away from the gym. So I saw that there was like a couple cars parked in this parking lot and I like basically ducked and then sat in between these two cars. That's when I started my stream for the day. In between two cars, just whispering to chat. And I didn't really know what to do at first and Forgot came in clutch and was like, Kurt's already at the front of the building. And I was like, what? How is that possible? They just told me I shouldn't be here yet. And he was like, I don't know, but he's there. And the guy is really nice to him. Eventually, some cars pulled up and parked. And then I talked to these guys. They were all there for Streamer U auditions. I think some of them said that they'd been hiding out on the campus, like in their car for like a few days. We just kind of chilled behind the gym for a while. And then one of the guys was like, I want to go up there and see what's happening. So I followed him from behind. I was a little bit scared still, but as we were walking up, that's basically when the line started forming and everyone was sprinting. And then everyone started forming a single file line in front of the gym. It was really beautiful. I was like probably like 20 or 30th in line. But then for some reason, some people started thinking that the line was like 15 to 20 feet from the gym. Okay, so I'm really confused because everyone just ran that way, and there's a second line now.
No, but that's what Cadena took it at.
And then there's some people here. It's more of like a crowd than a line. And then people were yelling that like, oh, this is the real line. But then it's really confusing because like most of the people there were just people who were in line. So like, it's like, why would I believe them, you know? So I kind of stayed in the first line. But then some people were in the second line. But it ended up that there was like actually one staff member among people, but you can't really tell who it is, right? And he didn't have like a speakerphone or anything, so no one could really hear him. But people end up believing like that there is this second line, right? And then eventually everyone moves to the second line. Except by the time this happens, there is no longer a line. It's a blob. It's just a blob of people who are like squishing to be first, which was really annoying. Like at first there was like just a really nice single file line, and although people were cutting and people kept yelling, oh my god, people kept yelling so loud. They kept yelling, don't cut the line, we're watching you. But people were still cutting anyways. I don't know who said this to begin with, but someone yelled that like this is not where the line actually was. It's gonna be at King's Hall instead of the gym. And I think some people left. People were just yelling things. It was just causing more confusion and chaos. But we ended up with this blob, all right? We have a blob of people. And then they brought out like this metal railing to basically keep us in place. So basically the front of the gym got walled off by this railing. And at first, I was kind of chilling. There was like probably like 10 people at least who were like over the barricade, if that makes sense. Like there were some people who got to chill outside of the crowd, like the blob of people that was really squished together. And they were basically people who were also lining up for SU, but they were like helping direct people or just being like chill guys. Kurt was one of those people. So it was really nice at first. I was just like not behind the railing at all. But then people started yelling. Actually, I shouldn't even say people started yelling. People were yelling the whole time. But then there was a guy that was specifically yelling at me to get behind. I got kind of annoyed because he basically pushed me behind him. So I started getting squished too. And I was like, well, shit. But for some reason, Kurt's still in the front. He's just chilling. No one is questioning him. I think he was just so charismatic that no one really cared. And he seemed like he was helping people. I was a little bit salty that I got dragged behind this guy who was yelling in my ear. And from then on, I was pretty squished. Honestly, people were really nice, like nicer than I expected. And I think it was because I was one of the only girls there. And people were really worried because it was honestly like a lot of squishing. And people just kept saying like, hey, there's a girl here, like chill out. Because like people were like squeezing so hard. Like sometimes it actually did hurt. But most of the time it was fine. It was just sweaty and claustrophobic, but I can handle that. But there were some interesting things that happened during the line. One of the first things was like after I got put behind the barricade, a guy told me, hey, actually it was the guy who I met in the parking lot behind that wanted to come up front. He was like, hey, can I pretend to be your cameraman so I can get in? Because they were dismissing some of the people who weren't behind the barricade. And then I was like, all right, sure. And I gave him my gimbal. And he was like jumping in. He kept saying like, I'm her cameraman. I'm her cameraman. It was so stupid, but it worked. People believed it for some reason. So later on, there was someone in the line who was trying to talk to a security guard that was like a little bit behind me. And he was like, hey, like, I'm with Snowcone. Snowcone is a streamer who was in SU last year. And he was like, I lost her though. Is there any way I could like get back with her or something? And then the security guard was like not having it. I don't think he even knows who Snowcone is. But then like the guy who I helped, he was in between us, right? It was like me, the guy, and this Snowcone's friend. He like rolled his eyes when he said I'm friends with Snowcone. But then the guy who's Snowcone's friend mentioned that he was Hydra. And then a bunch of people in the crowd were like, oh shit, you're Hydra? Including him. And then he like dapped him up and he was like, that's so cool. So I thought that was kind of funny. The switch up was pretty funny. And I think I had heard of Hydra before, but I'm not that tapped in. He's a Fortnite pro, and I think that sounds familiar, but I wasn't totally sure. But it was cool that he was in the line with us just squished all together. And he actually commented on one of my TikToks, which is cool. Another funny moment was there weren't that many girls around, as I said, but then this girl, I think was like making eye contact with or like looking at me for a while, and then she was like, hey, are you okay? She kept asking me if I was okay, and I kept saying yes. And then I think she wanted to form an alliance with me. She did that by just like continually asking me if I was okay. And then she also put her hand on my shoulder, but I didn't even realize it because there were so many people. She did this multiple times, and then she would say like, by the way, it's my hand on your shoulder, okay? And I was like, okay. And I don't remember why, but she also mentioned that she was into girls. I wasn't really uncomfortable, but like putting those things together, like I didn't know her and she kept putting her arm around my shoulder. Putting those things together, it's a little bit like, interesting, I guess. I didn't feel threatened at all, but I was just like, interesting. So she kept putting her hand around my shoulder, and the thing she did that was weird was she was striking up a conversation with me, and she said like, us girls, we gotta stick together, like girl to girl. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then she was like, I was a part of Kai's Mafiathon last year, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then she was like, yep, I'm probably gonna get in, which I thought was so bold. That's such a bold claim to make, bro. There's millions of applicants. But I just was like, oh wow. Like, okay, not like that. Like, I was like, that's cool. Awesome. And then she said, this is the crazy part. She goes on to say, like, when you meet Kai, can you tell him that I helped you and basically vouch for me? And in my head, I'm like, I just met you, and also you're not really helping. You're just putting your arm around my shoulder. But I said, yeah. I said, sure, okay. What's your name? I don't even remember her name anymore. She was like, yeah, like, he'll remember me because of Mafiathon. And I was like, all right. And I just felt weird after that. I was like, I was like, what in the world? Like, she was like, I know I'm getting in, but also, can you vouch for me and tell Kai that I helped you in the line? Like, girl. And then, I don't know how much long after, but after that, she was still like arm around me, or like, I think she was behind me at this point, grabbing me like this. And she apparently was like inching us to the front, I guess, because a guy noticed on our left, and he asked the guy behind us, like, hey, are you pushing? And that guy says no. And then he was like, all right, so it's you, pointing at the girl behind me. And he's like, stop pushing her up. And then she says, we're protecting each other. And then he said something like, protecting each other? You don't even know her, girl. I heard you say some shit like, oh, when you meet Kai, can you vouch for me? And you were doing some ASMR in her ear. And she was getting pretty close to my ear and like saying those things. And then everyone around us just started laughing. There was this one guy who was laughing so hard and streaming at the same time and was like just pointing his camera at her. The original guy asked me like, do you know her? And I said, I just met her. And then everyone goes like, ooh. And I felt a little bit bad, but also I was just telling the truth. After I said that, she just glared at me. Like, for probably like 10 minutes at least. She was just glaring at me, and I was really uncomfortable, and I like looked at her a little bit, and I was like, I'm sorry. And then she was like, you're not sorry. You're not acting sorry. She was like, I helped you so much. How could you do this to me? And I said like, I can't lie. And then people around me were like, don't say you're sorry. Like, don't feel sorry for her. It was just so awkward. But she ended up pushing way more forward than us anyways. And she ended up getting denied. I watched that LA audition video and she got denied in it. That was probably the most interesting thing that happened in the line, but also uncomfortable. But yeah, we were waiting there, so squished. People just kept squishing. They kept trying to figure out a way to make it single file so that people could get in one by one. And they kept threatening that like, if we can't form a single file line, the whole event's gonna get canceled by like the police and stuff. But they ended up figuring it out by like getting more of the railing and basically forming a line with it. So basically some people from the blob got to wait in a single file line. This probably happened around like 10 a.m. and it was such a relief. So we got to wait in this single file line. We were told like, stay near the railing, which didn't last, but it was so nice to be able to breathe. And at this point I realized that I lost my mic, the charging case for it, and the second mic. And I also lost my cap. But of all the things to lose, those were probably the least expensive things. I was kind of sad about the mic. It was like over $100, but it gave me an excuse to buy the white version, which I was eyeing but didn't have a reason to buy, so it's not too bad. And now I have both black and white. I don't know if the black works, but I have both. I tried to stay on the railing, and there was a guy next to me. Oh, this is the same guy. Same guy who pretended to be my cameraman. We are near the front of the line, and he says, I forgot my ID. Bro, are you serious? He was stressing me out. He told me it was in his car, and I knew he parked behind the gym, so I was like, you should just go get it. Just ask the security guard to get it. He did it, and it worked. The security guard said yes, and then he like jumped the fence. He should have done it Earlier, honestly, he waited until like the line was actually moving for us to get in. And for some reason, he left his puffer jacket and his Meta Ray-Bans with me, which I was like, bro, why are you leaving this stuff with me? Like, I might not see you again. And he asked the guy in front of me to hold his place, but he gave me his stuff, which didn't make any sense. But the line started moving pretty fast, and I was getting scared because I was like, okay, I have this guy's jacket and Meta Ray-Bans. I don't know what to do because the line is moving fast. We're almost at the front. I think I was too nice, honestly. I started, like, moving backwards in the line. Not actually stepping backwards, but like letting people cut me. So I let probably like 10 or more people cut me. Finally, this guy comes back. I'm like, thank God, because I don't really know what to do with these Meta Ray-Bans and this puffer jacket. And I got kind of annoyed because the guy who he told to save his spot was like way in front of me now because I was holding his stuff. And I was like, I don't know what to do if I go in and he's not there. So I just started letting people cut me. But then he was able to cut way in front. And I was just like left behind, so I was kind of salty. And he almost didn't take his stuff from me. Like he took his Meta Ray-Bans, but I had to be like, bro, take your jacket, bro. Take your jacket, bro. He was not listening to me. So I was kind of salty that he got a better place than me in line when I literally like helped him get any place in the audition at all. Like he would have gotten kicked out if it wasn't for me. And after he gets to jump in the spot in the line that's like way in front of me, I'm like, hey, like, can I like join him too? I was holding his stuff. And then this girl in front of me, I don't remember what she said. She just had so much attitude. She said something like, hell nah, you think you're cutting? Like this girl, I was so annoyed because she clearly cut me, okay? Like she was like clearly trying to squeeze her way through the line. And like she put her arm like in front of me. Like I was next to the railing. Like this is the railing, this is me. And she comes from behind me. And she put her arm like right in front of me. I was just like, hey, can I just go there because I was holding his stuff? I don't remember what she said. She was just like, oh, no, like, who does she think she is, you know? And I just got so annoyed at this woman for giving me so much attitude when she was literally like squeezing her way to like cut people and like put her arm like right in front of me so I wouldn't get in front of her when she was clearly behind me, all right? And then this girl was like really thirsty, I think behind me, so I offered her my water, but I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. So I didn't want to drink my water after that. I forgot to tell her to waterfall. So I was like offering water to people. I was like, I'm going to throw this if no one wants it. And then again, the girl in front of me who gave me attitude was like, she definitely poisoned that shit. Like, and I was like, girl, what do you have against me? I think she was just trying to be funny. And she was just cranky because of the weather. Like, it was really hot and we were just cramped together for so many hours. But it was like, what do you mean I poisoned it? Like, a guy was about to drink it and then he was like, she definitely poisoned that shit. She's doing anything she can to get, like, 1% out of this line so she can get closer. And I was, like, so annoyed by that because she was the one cutting everyone. But I just let it go, you know? Like, I can't be too mad. Like, I'm literally so close to the front of this line, right? So finally, I get my ID checked. Right when I get in, I get a red ticket. And I got a ticket with the number 47. I found it. Number 47. I was thrilled to be in the top 50, honestly. But I was also, in the back of my head, I was also like, I should have been 20-something. But I was just really nice. But honestly, I think I got so far ahead because people were really nice to me. And like, yeah, I think people were just really nice in that line in general, and I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, we got in the gym probably around like 10:30, 11, and we still had like 2 hours to wait. So I was just streaming that whole time, and it was kind of boring, honestly. I talked to the people next to me. The girl who gave me so much attitude was to my left, and then there was another guy to my right. I was annoyed at my seat placement because I was like, if I had just stayed in my place in line and not let people cut so much, I would be next to the people I actually talked to and liked. But instead, I was next to this girl who was like giving me so much attitude. But I think she was giving everyone attitude because right when we sat down in the bleachers, she immediately was like talking to the guy on my right and was like, let's call it, let's be chill, like let's forgive each other or something, because apparently they got in a fight. So I think she was just cranky, honestly, from the heat. And then she also started doing clown makeup. It was like an interesting choice, but I was like trying to take a selfie for my TikTok story, and she was like in the background with her clown makeup smiling in it, and I was a little bit like, I don't want her in it. It was kind of scaring me. So I took another photo like without her, like just me, and then she was like, I thought we were taking a selfie together. And I was really confused because she was like mean to me in the line. I was still annoyed at how she treated me in the line and how she was like just like cutting me and making sure I don't cut her back. She did get nicer to me after her phone was dying and I lent her my charger. I lent so many people my charger. This was the charger I brought. It's huge. And I lent it to so many people and I still had enough charge to get through auditions. It did kind of die later on and I wish I hadn't lent it to so many people, but like so many people didn't bring chargers. I was just super prepared with this. Would recommend getting this if you need to wait in a long line. But the other interesting thing that was happening was there were famous streamers who were also coming into the gym. We saw Jason the Ween, we saw OSCS, Arky, Yugi were there, Marlone, Santi. I feel like I'm not that tapped into other people. There was also these two people called Dean and AB, but I didn't know them. Apparently they're like professional boxers who also stream, which is cool. I think of everyone there, Jason was who I was most excited about because I actually do watch his streams and he's probably like my favorite streamer or one of my favorites. But I was too hesitant to say hi, and by the time I went down, he was already like kind of leaving the gym and all the famous streamers were going into like a famous streamer room, I guess. And later on, basically all of them were hanging out there. Who else was there? I think there was like Stable Ronaldo and Hooper Valley was there. I saw he made a TikTok with Haskell and Jason, but I didn't really notice until later. I also didn't know Haskell until Streamer University, but I want to do that TikTok trend now that he made. After that, they went through the numbers pretty quickly when they started calling people. They went through like 0 through 33-ish super fast. But then for some reason, our group was next, and then they just kind of stopped calling numbers for probably like an hour, and I was getting really nervous and I was like practicing, and finally we got to stand up and do our interview. I was really nervous and I didn't expect the first round to be verbal. It was basically like pitch yourself in 30 seconds why you should be at Streamer University, and I was not prepared. I think I said like a lot and a lot, but I did mention that I am a software engineer, and after that, the interviewer seemed really impressed by that and he said, "We actually need someone like that." So I was like, oh wow, it sounds like I'm passing. And to be clear, he was nice to me from the start, and he also was impressed that I grew my following from 15K to 100K. I do feel like I was kind of stiff during the performance. Like, it's hard for me to really showcase my personality in places where I'm nervous, but it sounded like I passed, and he was like so amazed by the things I was saying. Basically, he was just like, wow, we need someone like you. And then he asked if I applied online. I said yes. And then he told me to speak into this camera that was filming everything and say my username and socials or whatever. So then he was basically like, congratulations, he'll tell you where to go. And he kept saying like, congratulations. And then he added like, on applying. And then I was going to the security guard, and then he asked like, wait, what was your username? And then I said it again to him. Then I actually went out this time and I asked the security guard, okay, where do I go? And he said, go back and around. Sorry, this is triggering me because I explained this on TikTok because a lot of people were mad at me, but I'll get to that. Don't worry. So I was trying to clarify with the security guard, like back and what? And then he closed the door on me and I was like, but that was fine. Like, I was like, okay, I know he said to go back and around. So I tried to go back and around, and there was no like clear entry or new line that people were forming. I was like, oh my god, I'm lost, and I was freaking out. And before this, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited, I get to see Kai. I might not get in, but I get to meet Kai. I was telling my chat this, and then I was lost, and then I recognized a staff member from this morning, the one who was like the first one trying to figure out the line situation. And then I told him like, hey, I don't know where the second round is, I passed, but I can't find it. So then he led me to the front of the building, and then he dropped me off with another staff and told them to help me. So he was explaining the situation, like, she can't find the second round, and I was like, yeah, it really sounded like I passed, and I just don't know where it is now. This woman behind me, I don't know if she worked for the event or not. I caught her in my VOD, and she was like, she definitely didn't get in, and that annoyed me a little bit, but obviously I didn't show it. But she was just like, oh, she definitely did not get in. And I was like, who are you? But then this guy was like, also was saying like, oh, I don't think you got in because you like left. And I was like, I'm so confused because it really sounded like I passed. Can you double check? And then he was like, okay, like, fine, I'll double check, but you have to stay here. So I had to stay at basically the lobby area and I couldn't move. And he was going to check with him. He asked for my username. I said it. And he was like, which guy did you talk to? And I was like, the guy on the right. I don't remember his name. And then he was like getting really frustrated with me when he was asking me, because I was like, I don't remember his name. And then he was like, you have to tell me, like, you need to tell me his name. Like, and I was just getting really stressed because he was like, you need to remember his name. And I was like, what? And then I was just like describing exactly what was there. I was like, there's 2 interview rooms. I walked in the one on the right. The one on the left had a girl. And the one on the right had a guy. I talked to the guy and he was like, okay. So then like maybe like 15 minutes go by and then he came back and he was like, yeah, I confirmed there's only 1 interview. He was like kind of like trying to shoo me away. He was like, you have to trust me here. Like, I don't remember what he said. Like, I know you don't want to trust me, but you have to trust me here. And I was like, are you sure? Because everyone's been telling me that if you pass the first round, you get to see Kai next. Even like right before the interview, the guy outside was like, if you pass, you get to see Kai. So yeah, all this information was so contradictory, but this guy obviously had a lot on his plate and I didn't want to bother him anymore. And he basically was like, I confirmed with them, and they said you didn't get in. And I couldn't even tell if he really asked him or not. I even said to my chat, like, it felt like based on his tone, it felt like he wasn't really vouching for me. It seemed like he didn't think I got in. He even said, and this was the part that stressed me out, he said like, well, even if you got in, you walked out. If you walk out, you're like basically out of the game. And then that stressed me out because he's like basically saying that, oh, even if I got second round, if you walk out, you like basically fucked it up. So then I was like, oh shit, like I fucked it up. And I was just like, okay, like clearly this guy didn't want to like help me anymore. So I just left. And then I just left feeling really confused. And then I was just talking to my chat and they were like, you gotta go back and talk to the security guard again. And I was like thinking about it. I was like still like trying to go around the building and see what was there. There was nothing that seemed like it. And everyone I asked, they didn't even know about first round. And they were like just interested in getting to know about what my process was. But I was like, bro, I need to find second round. They were just like asking me like, oh, you actually interviewed? Like what happened? And I was like, bro, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I'm just like trying to speed walk through campus and I don't know what to do. So I go back to the security guard and I posted this part on TikTok and people got mad at me for it. But I basically was trying to ask the security guard where to go. I even said like, where is second round? But he kept saying go back and around, which I already heard and tried to follow. I was trying to tell him that I already tried it. And I was trying to tell him that the staff in front was telling me there's no second round. But he wouldn't let me even get a single word in. And he just kept saying, go back and around, go follow them, go back and around, go follow them. And it was really stressful. Like, he kept interrupting me. Like, I couldn't even say, like, I already tried to do what you told me to. So the last thing I said to him was just like, okay, where do I go? I'll just try again, I guess. And then he said, go follow them. And he was pointing at, like, people who just finished their interview. So I, like, ran to those people and asked them if they knew where second round was. And they said they didn't know. And I did another loop, trying to go around and seeing if there's like a line somewhere where you can get to see Kai or get a second round. And no, instead I found Arky. He was making a TikTok on the ground about how he got denied. And I even asked him if he knew where second round was. He said he didn't know, but I think he just had a different process because he was in the streamer room. But he was really nice. Even though I didn't say, hey, I know you're Arky. I was too stressed to like say any of that, so I was just like, I just gotta ask him where to go. I don't know who told me, but all 3 of them were like, oh, maybe go that way, which was like totally the wrong direction. Like, the building wasn't even over there, but I went the way they told me to. I just kept walking around. I couldn't find anyone, and then I was like, what do I do? And then my chat was like, go ask him again. And I was like, okay, maybe I don't have any other options at this point. I should just try to ask him one last time and be really like straight to the point, try to explain everything really fast, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? So I go on my way back. I see Jason the Ween. I see Jason yelling outside of the door after Kai denied him, apparently. And he was like so upset that he got denied, which was kind of funny that I was running into him. But at the same time, my chat was telling me to end my stream because I was telling them to find that clip of me where the security guard is telling me where to go. And they were like, you need to end stream, which wasn't true. but it's fine. But yeah, I ended stream, unfortunately, right when I saw Jason. So I didn't get any footage of Jason, but honestly, there's enough footage of Jason out there in the world. And I was too stressed to even say hi to him or ask him for a photo or anything. And he was dealing with his own stuff. I ended stream, I started it again, and then that's when I asked the security guard for the second time where to go. And this time he was a lot more mean to me. I think the first time he started out pretty nice. I also don't even know if it was the same security guard that led me out the door, because there were 2 doors, but this security guard was coming out of the second door. So it might have been a totally different security officer this whole time. But yeah, the same security guard that I asked the first time answers, and he's a lot more mean to me. I'm like, where do I go? Like, please, I came so far for this. And then he said, ma'am, you're causing a disruption at this point. And I'm trying to be as nice as I can, being like, please, I just came so far for this. And it really sounded like I passed. I don't remember what I said, but I was just like, can I please talk to him for 2 seconds? Because like, if I hear it from the interviewer face to face, then I know that like, that I didn't get second round, or if I did get second round, I feel like he was nice enough where he would let me go back, you know? And then I tried to like step to the right, because I was on the left of the door. I was trying to step right and a little bit in to see if I could see the interviewer at all. And unexpectedly, he grabbed me with both of his hands and then pushed me like kind of aggressively. And there was also a guy right behind me witnessing all of this, and it was really embarrassing. He like pushed me with both arms and then closed the door on me. And I've never experienced something like that before. It was really embarrassing. I was just like trying to talk to my chat, but I was just feeling really sad and I started crying. Honestly, it was a pretty good cry. Like, it was just overwhelming. Just putting so much effort into trying to get to this audition, and then like getting so close and feeling like I messed up and like didn't find second round potentially, or like I just didn't understand what just happened, because it sounded like I passed, but then like based on the actions it seemed like I got denied. So I was just like really confused, and I just started crying on the floor. I just sat down on the floor. I was like, well, this is it. I don't know what to do here. And then more people were coming out. A guy asked me if I got denied because I was crying on the floor. And I said, it sounded like I didn't, but they won't let me back in there or tell me anything. And then it seemed like we had a whole group of people confused, actually. Some people thought they got denied, but some people were like, they thought they passed. Like, they also got the same instruction of like backing around, but couldn't find anything. So in the end, there were a group of like maybe like 6 of us, and we went back to the back door and asked the security guard again, like, hey, like, we don't know where to go, and like we're confused on what's going on. And I think because there were so many people, the security guard was more understanding, and he was like, all right. And then he closed the door, and then he went to talk to the interviewer. And after a long like 5 to 10 minutes, the interviewer came out after someone else interviewed, and he finally explained to us that like we only had first round.
You think Kai can look through every application and decide, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way it works. We're his immediate team. We make Streamer University happen, Mafiathon happen, and all that stuff, right? So basically, he entrusted in us to find the people that we like to basically
go directly to him right now.
No, not to go there.
Oh.
Not to go there.
So basically, you're saying like we're denied.
You're not denied.
So
Okay.
Our applications are going to get looked at.
And he said like, we need more information from you. He's like, if you don't see Kai, it doesn't mean you're not getting into Streamer U. It's like, if you're here to see Kai, then you got this thing all wrong. And he said he's like staff, and he was entrusted to find people for Streamer U. It was all like really confusing, and it honestly sounded like he was sugarcoating it maybe. So like one of the guys with us was like, you can like just be real with us.
Actually,
Just keep it a buck. Just keep it a buck.
Let's do this.
We don't- you're not gonna hurt our
If you're
feelings.
good enough to see Kai, we
send
go
it
send you
yeah,
to see Kai.
exactly.
That's
That's
all
what it
right.
is, yeah.
If we need to look more into your application, we go look at more of your application.
So basically, it wasn't like hidden for Kai. Basically.
Yeah,
If
no,
it's-
that's cool. That's
If
cool,
it's
yeah.
you're good, go see Kai.
Yeah, that's
if it's
it.
I need more information, you go application.
Hell yeah.
So then I was like, then what's the point of seeing Kai? And then I answered my own question. I was like, for content, I guess. And then he was like, yeah, it's for content. Like, it's for his YouTube video, which makes sense. We were also confused because it seemed like everyone who saw the girl got to see Kai, but everyone who saw him didn't. So it seemed like he was just being stricter maybe. So the guy behind me actually brought this up and was like, so did everyone who see you not get to see Kai? And he said no. But it did seem like he was stricter than the girl because most people who saw the girl got to see Kai. But that's alleged, not for sure or anything. And at the end of it all, I asked him, so it's a maybe.
So it's like a maybe.
It's a maybe. No, nobody got denied.
Okay,
And
okay.
even if you go see Kai, you're not accepted. Kai doesn't accept anyone.
What's the point of seeing Kai then? Like
It's just
content?
Content for YouTube.
I see. Okay. Sorry, I thought it sounded like there was another round.
No. You're all set here.
Okay.
I'm gonna make that more clear from this point.
Yeah. I think a lot of
I think
people
I
thought
should-
there
a
was
lot of
another
people
round.
And he said, yeah, you guys aren't denied. And he pointed at me and he was like, especially you, because you do the coding stuff.
If I got denied, I got denied. If I got approved, I got approved.
You didn't get denied.
That's all I
You
wanted
did
to
not get
know.
denied.
I wasn't
Your
trying to.
application,
Okay.
especially yours, because you do the coding.
Oh, thank you.
That's what I'm trying to say. You're not denied.
I was like, oh my god, wait, that's so nice. He definitely didn't have to say like especially me or anything, but that was just like really nice of him to say. And it really did seem like he was impressed by my audition. I knew I didn't really let my personality shine during it because I got so nervous. But honestly, he was just so nice to even point out that like he really liked my audition. And I was really happy and relieved after that because I thought I messed up, and just getting clarity for the whole group of us, I was so happy for all of us because we got clarity because it was so confusing. And yeah, that's basically everything that happened. I think I just felt relieved after that. It was a beautiful day after that. I was just like sitting in the grass for a while and talking to some other streamers or like cameramen or creators. And yeah, I felt so blessed, honestly. And I think later on I realized that Kai didn't even see like 200 people. He saw less than 200 people. It was something like 100 something they stopped at. And I was like, oh man, I got really lucky. Because at first, when we were lining up in the morning, they were telling us like, there's like 2,000 people here. You're all going to get to see Kai, which was not true. I think there was just a lot that went wrong. Apparently, like the reason our group was held up early on, like I mentioned, we had like an hour wait for like this group for some reason, and like apparently people were causing a riot outside. But I'm really glad I got to do the interview. I'm glad I got some clips out of it, even though they got some hate. Speaking of hate, I did want to address and discuss the hate I got on TikTok a little bit. So basically I posted the clips of me trying to talk to the security guard 2 times, and then I posted a clip of me crying. And when I cried, I said stuff like, I'm just so confused, and I was like, why is everyone so rude? And people were shitting on me. Like, I expected to get some shit because I'm crying at Streamer University auditions, and people think that anyone who goes to Streamer University auditions is like ungrateful, unemployed, really lazy, just wants an easy ticket to fame and money, which clearly, if you know anything about me, I'm not like that, and I'm not unemployed, very much so, although I have been, and there's nothing wrong with being unemployed. I have a whole career. I have a whole software engineering career. I don't know how, but I got so many female viewers on that video, and I have a mostly male demographic because I stream games, and there were so many girls commenting. Usually it's no profile picture people who are leaving hate comments, but these were like girls who had like their whole face and like TikToks of themselves on their profile leaving hate comments on me like, you were so rude to the security guard, like. And there was one comment that really annoyed me, which was like, I hope you realize this isn't a big deal. Let me pull it up. I'm sorry, but you are doing too much for this, and I feel like his frustration is valid. I hope you understand this is not that big of a deal. And that annoyed me so much because you have to make a lot of assumptions to make a comment like that, and all of these comments are making so many assumptions, but this one in particular just rubbed me the wrong way because, like, why is it validating the security guard's feelings? And basically she's saying my feelings aren't valid. Like, she's saying, oh, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I hope you realize it's not that big of a deal. Like, bro, it's just a clip of me crying. I'm not crying anymore. Like, I'm posting this after the event is over. It's just like I'm a girl crying online, and she's like invalidating my feelings while validating the security guard's feelings. I feel like if I post me crying, people are like, oh, you should feel sorry for me, which I think kind of makes sense conceptually, but like, it's not always what it means. Like, this is clip farm, guys. I see a lot of streamers who clip themselves, or like their clip accounts will clip them crying, and it gets so many views. I feel like I have to be silly to not like post me crying, because that's what gets the views, you know? But like because of that, people think I'm trying to garner pity or something, which I'm not. I honestly, like, before I posted this, I thought it was like a funny video. Like, I think it's so funny that I cried. And like, I know people make fun of the people who cry, but it's like, if you're really there, if you're there, you know, it's intense. It's really intense. And like, online is so easy to clown on it. Like, oh, Streamer University, how stupid. Like, go to a real university, am I right? Should I read some more of them? Y'all can't be serious. All this for Kai? I'm so sad for y'all, for real. I feel like you need like a creator brain to realize that like, even if you leave like slightly negative comments like this, it's just gonna lead to dogpiling and it's not gonna get anywhere. And then someone said, maybe this just isn't for you, and that's fine, girl. Like, they're so backhanded. Like, all these comments are like backhanded, front-handed, all the way around. You weren't listening to them. I think this is the top comment. You weren't listening to them, lol. And I responded saying that I basically listened to them before this clip. Like, things happened before this clip. It honestly frustrates me so much that like people just assumed I didn't listen to him, when in the clip it's just him talking over me. And like, I already tried the thing he said, and I was trying to communicate that, but he just wouldn't let me communicate that. Honestly, it does frustrate me that people don't see that. And even though I tried to reply to some comments, like, barely anybody was like acknowledging that I had valid points. And that like, these comments that people are leaving that were so hateful, like, or like not even so hateful, like, some were super hateful, some were like confused, but most of them were like this like backhanded, like, oh, what the fuck are you doing, girl? You're embarrassing. You're so embarrassing. Like, that was the vibe of most of the comments. Like, everyone was just dogpiling and agreeing with each other on this. And this is what happens on the internet, right? People just dogpile and hate even if they're wrong. And they won't admit they're wrong or anything. Like, why would anyone do that, right? When they're already getting like so many likes on their comments and stuff. But I did make a second video that was basically addressing some of the hate and why it's invalid. Like, there is no valid hate on any of the videos. And I explained it. No hate comments, but also not that many views. The original video got like 100,000 views. The second video has like 3.5k. At the end of the day, I'm grateful. I'm still grateful for everything that happened. I don't think people can comprehend in their heads that I could post this clip of me crying but still be grateful for everything that happened that day. Oh, another thing is, I feel like a lot of people were hating on me just for crying there. But like, honestly, so many people cried there. And people just don't post it online because it's kind of embarrassing. But I feel like I've always been like, oh, it's okay to cry. It's okay to show your feelings. And just to clarify an extra time, I am not mad at any of the staff, and I don't think that they were really rude. Like, in a vacuum, some actions were rude, right? Like, not letting me get a word in, getting pushed and stuff like that. But I knew that, like, they were just really stressed, and I don't blame them at all. I genuinely am just so grateful for the experience. I feel like I got so lucky, especially with this number 47. I'm also glad I got to meet some people, and I don't know, I just really vibed with a lot of people there. Oh, also something that happened after it all. Someone in my chat asked me, like, would I do it again next year? And at the time I was like, I don't know if I'd do this again. Like, this was a lot. But then, like, looking back on the entire situation, I'm just someone who loves gambling. Like, I love trying to get in a gamble and be like the first 50 people in a line. And the vibe outside in the afternoon was also just so nice. And people were like networking and stuff. So I think I would do it again. Like, if it was LA again, I think that's convenient enough where I would do it if it was like a Sunday or Saturday. If it's on a weekday, probably not, unless he announces it a week in advance next time. So yeah, that was everything. I got some hate. I cried. I spent a lot of money. I bought this streamer phone. I decided to keep this streamer phone. I was thinking about returning it because IRL streaming is honestly so hard for me and very stressful, and I feel like my current audience doesn't really like me IRL streaming or doesn't care for it, and that is a bit demotivating to me. But you know what? I realized that I like it for myself, and in this world, you gotta do things that you want. That's why I'm keeping this phone, and I'm gonna try to IRL stream once in a while. Maybe I'll play some Brawl Stars on this. As of right now, when I'm filming this, we don't know who got in yet, so I'm still waiting to see what's gonna happen. They haven't announced when the class is being announced or anything, so crossing my fingers. I hope I get in, but if not, that's okay too. I hope you guys enjoyed this super crazy story time, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know if you like this format. This is my first like true raw yapping YouTube video. Subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see more stuff. I also have a second channel where I don't post gaming stuff. I post more lifestyle, I guess. I post my cat and stuff. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this entire story. I hope it was interesting. Let me know if you found it interesting or boring or whatnot. I know it's a very slim chance, but I hope I get in. Proto, please look out for me. Bye. See you in the next one.